Okay. So who wants to start with the prayer?
I will.
Okay.
Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this day, and we are grateful for the opportunity we have to finish school while we are working and doing things with the rest of our lives. And we're grateful for this online program. And please bless us as we discuss this case, that we will be able to articulate the things that we have been thinking and feeling about it, and that we will remember the things that we have read and studied. And please bless our families need and with health and strength. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so anybody got a spiritual thought?
Trying to think of something that might relate. You know, after this many case studies, you'd think we'd be prepared for this question, but every time it comes up, it's like, oh, I thought about the spiritual side of this. I think we're still riding the wave of your spiritual thought, so I think we're good there.
Okay. So to begin, as a group, we need to vote. Should Doug accept the Turin offer, yes or no?
I think no.
Yeah, I am. I think that's, I don't know. I think he could get more out of his company if he's a little bit more patient and waits it out a little bit longer.
I think so too, but I understand that it's hard too.
Yeah, it's tough because it's a good deal too, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty, pretty substantial bit of money to, to give up on, because the worst thing you want to do is say no and then find out you should have really taken the deal later. So,
Yeah. So that it's the attractiveness of being able to get an immediate satisfaction as opposed to potential satisfaction, which also has risk. A big part for me was that the people trying to buy him out for 2 million cash, 2 million stock, it was his friend who was basically saying, oh, you shouldn't give up so much equity to Shield. You should try to keep as much equity for yourself. And then like a couple days later, he basically wants to buy the company. So the whole thing just kind of seems a little shady, especially when they said there was research that other companies in similar situations worked hard and then were acquired for close to 300 million. So has potential, and it just seems like the quick cash would be way under what it's worth.
That's true, and that's what I thought too. Yeah, it's nice to have that cash, but it seemed too low of an offer, I guess, for what the potential is.
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
I agree. I think it was a little shady. It's one of those things. If it was a little bit longer of a time frame of him giving his advice to, make sure you get enough equity out of this, and then it was like a month later that he's saying, you know what, I'll buy it out. That's a little bit different. But when it's days, that's a big red flag right there. It's almost like he knows something more than he does, and it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it seems a little shady.
Yeah, definitely does.
I could
Um,
see, for the sake of argument, I could see Doug wanting to go for the route of the immediate cash because
Hmm.
he's not a businessman. He's not a leader. He doesn't do business. He's basically an engineer who came up with a great idea. And maybe that's enough for him. But at this point, I feel like he's included so many other people and they've proven this can become something big. Stretch yourself a little. Try to do it.
mhm.
And
Um,
it's okay to not be a businessman and start a business. That's why you hire people to do the stuff that you can't do. It
Yeah.
was your idea, so you know.
yeah, that's, it's one of those things, he's getting this offer from someone that he's obviously, knows really well and trusts, but at the same time, sometimes you just don't know who to trust. You get these really good acquaintances or these really good people, and sometimes that can really hurt you in the long run too, if you're
Hmm.
not careful. Because sometimes our best friends or our best people, our best allies, sometimes are our worst enemies. Sometimes, especially when it comes to money.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. And everybody's just looking out for themselves anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, um, so to keep moving on with the discussion, it says to start your discussion with those who say Doug should accept Turn's offer. If no one votes for that option, come up with the reasons why we shouldn't take the offer, even if nobody thinks it's a good idea.
I think that just kind of goes off of what I
Well,
was saying earlier about how he doesn't think of himself as a leader and or a businessman. Maybe that could be potentially his way out. Here's my idea. Oh, I got a lot of money. Okay, I'm done. But kind of like what Ellen said, that doesn't take a businessman to run a business. You hire people to help out in that part.
yeah,
I mean, as you grow your business anyway, you should be hiring people to help because you can't do everything anyway.
Yeah.
Even if you can do each, separate job, you can't do it all at the same time as it needs to be. You need to hire people anyway. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Drive yourself crazy.
mm.
Um, so since we kind of all have discussed pretty much why you shouldn't take the offer and kind of go for that just because we feel like, he could probably benefit more by just, being a little bit more patient, holding on a little bit longer. The next step is allow those that think you should take the offer to voice their opinions so we can kind of move past that. Um, again, support your arguments, whatever. So the next one is how much money will Doug receive? As a group realize that this is likely that nobody had a fully correct answer to this question. Here are some hints. Since half of the buyout offer is in cash, you need to treat it as a cash sell and to give the investor 2 times their investment in cash. Since half the buyout offer is in preferred stock, you need to treat that portion of the buyout as stock and give investors 25% of the proceedings from the preferred shares. Doug's payout is whatever is left after paying back his investors both the cash and the stock.
Yeah, what was it? They invested 100,000 each, wasn't it?
I think so.
With an option to go to like 1,075 or let me hold this up. Add my Excel. So this is the part of the equation that was a
So it
little
says
hard to figure
each
out.
investor contributed $100,000 in the form of a convertible note that paid 8% interest back to the angel investor at the time of the next round of financing.
But technically, they have not reached that next round because I believe that's Series A, and right now they're just at the seed round.
Yeah.
And so if they do the cash out, they will be avoiding um, Series A investment, which means that interest won't occur.
Says if Yieldex was sold for equity, the angel investors would receive approximately 25% of their shares in the new company. Each of the angel investors also had the option to increase their initial investment up to a total of 156,667 per investor. Cosman chose not to invest any of his personal funds in the company, and he retained 100% of the common shares. He explained he didn't have a lot of money at the time. So,
Yeah, I don't have the exact dollar amount for Doug's payout.
yeah, I was trying to.
I know he's owning 50%, and Tom Shields is owning, after other investors and employee options. Tom Shields is owning 34% of the shares, and then the rest are about 17%, 16 to 17%. So for Doug, what is it, 50%?
Let's see. So since half of the buyout offer is in cash, so $2 million is in cash, right?
Yeah, and each investor put 100,000, so each investor gets 200,000 in cash, which is going to be 600,000
Mhm.
of that buyout goes to the investors. So that's 1,400,000 of cash that goes to the owner. It's the preferred
Mhm.
stock that's got me a little perplexed.
Yeah, it's 2 million in preferred stock, right? Was that the right amount?
What was it?
Was it 2 million?
Yeah, 2 million in cash and 2 million in stock.
And they
Stock
said,
buyout.
and we'd have to give the investors 25% of the proceeds from the preferred shares. You have to give them 25%, which is
25%
500,000.
each or 25% total divided amongst them?
It says buyout as stock and give investors 25%. So I don't know.
Yeah, because that could be 2,500,000 or that could end up being 750,000.
If Yieldex was sold for equity, the angel investors would receive approximately 25% of the shares in the new company. So each is what I'm thinking.
Okay, so that'd be 7,500,000. So he'd be getting,
I got 500,000. What I got.
Is it 500?
Because you don't take 2 million times 25%.
But they each get 25%, is that right?
Yeah.
So they'd each get, oh yeah, no, that's right. That is a lot more.
How many investors are there? 4?
3 initially. Shields is trying to get in on the investment option as a CEO, but that hasn't happened yet.
So 1,500,000 would go to the investors, which will leave $500,000 for the owner, which means
500.
he would walk away with basically $2 million because he would have 1,000
1,900.
400,000 from the cash, and then he'd get 500,000. So he'd be $1.9 million is what he'd get on his investment out of 4 million.
Yeah.
So he's going to get half almost. So
No, that's not as favorable as what it made it sound like, which was basically
no,
4 million.
yeah, that's what it's looking like. But then by the time you pay everybody back, it's not. It's not what you. So um, so basically Doug would receive about $1.9 million.
Which, is still a hefty sum, but compared to the projections of
Yeah.
companies being sold, he's going to go through a couple of investment rounds and it's going to dilute his ownership and he's going to make even less money. But if the company sells for, say, $300 million, no matter what portion he's making, he's going to make a lot more than 1.9 mil.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So that confusing mess figured out. Check.
Yeah. Discuss as a group, how much does Shields deserve? Why does Washing want Doug to reject the turn offer? Won't Washing get a pretty good return on his investment? Why hold out more? How much does Washing give up if Doug gives Shields 50% of the equity?
Uh,
Is
so
Washing one of the investors?
Yes.
I'm not certain how that
How much
works
did
out.
Washington give up if Doug gives Shields 50% of the equity? Well, realistically, $600,000 was cash giving to the investors, and they were going to get 1.5. So realistically, Doug Washington would be giving up. He'd be giving up about $500,000 because his portion realistically would be, well, actually no, it'd be less than that. Because his portion is going to be about $700,000 is what he would pocket. So it'd be about $350,000 that he would give up to
And that's
Shields.
just in cash out options.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're going to make salary and whatnot,
yeah,
which will be nice.
that's it. Um,
So
I
I,
can
I
see
think
why I
what's
can
that?
see why Washington would want Doug to reject the offer because he doesn't think these investors probably won't get what they want out of it. They're probably wanting to stay a little bit longer, or be with be an investor with the company for the long haul and hope like heck it keeps going the way it's going so that they can get a bigger return on investment. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I think, there's that financial side, and I think he even also mentioned in the case study, he said that he believed in the company and believed it had potential for growth, and that it had a lot of angles in the market that it could succeed in. And so he'd be missing out on money if they did that, and he'd also miss out on opportunity to see the company become what it really can be. And, and so I think there's a lot of reasons. I kind of trust Washing more than any of the rest for his incentives behind it.
That's true. And he was always encouraging as well, when he was starting out and pitching what he wanted to do and all that.
Hmm. And always usually stayed neutral and try to see what was going to meet Doug's needs the most.
yeah. Okay. Can Doug use the turn offer to his advantage if he rejects it?
If he rejects the turn offer, yes, because he can hold that over Shields and say, "Hey, I'll give up the turn offer if you take less equity."
Mm.
Yeah. He can use it as leverage.
Yeah, because Shields had all the power at that time for reasonable reasons. He doesn't want to buy into a company and then have his shares diluted by other investors and stuff. But um, if Doug has other options, then that makes it a lot more challenging, and he's got to kind of humble himself a little and be willing to take maybe less than 50% to be a partner with Doug.
Hmm. Yeah, I think Doug would have an advantage. So he have a little bit more leverage with Tim. Um, so it says click here to read B case. As a group, vote should Tom hire Barr, yes or no? Allow those who said yes to go first. Ask for opposing viewpoints.
So I think I read a little bit about this, and it was about Shields trying to get them, what's it, a VPE, which is the Vice President of Engineering, and Doug Cosman wanted to, is that his name? Am I saying this right? Yes, Doug Cosman. The founder of the company wanted to take one of the employees within their team and make them the vice president of engineering, as to where Shields wanted to hire outside of the company to this real experienced guy that used to be a CTO, which is Doug's job now. And this guy who's experienced at being a CTO wants to be a CTO, but agrees to come onto the company as a vice president of engineering instead. And so Doug doesn't like it because it's not hiring someone he knows is very knowledgeable about the product. And Shields likes it because this guy is really business oriented and has a lot of success. And so it's just kind of the quarrel between the two of them saying which one's a better solution. To summarize, 2 pages or whatever, how long this is.
Yeah, it wasn't very long. Um,
And it's got financial data at the end.
so do you think he should have hired Barr? What do you think?
I wish I knew more about the field, because it's good and dandy to have someone that's really business oriented, but if they don't know the product, you could be pushing sales forces and advertisement and all that stuff in the wrong direction, as to where someone who's been in the company and has proven themselves might be the better option. So I'm for this one. I'm going to say hire within.
Would think that too, and I was just reading toward the end, it says Cosmo was troubled by Barr's unfamiliarity with several of the key components. How Barr could manage a software platform he didn't understand.
Yeah, and Barr didn't even want to be the vice president of engineering. He wants to be the CTO.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think when you have someone coming in from the outside, it doesn't really know what's going on a whole lot. It sometimes is to your disadvantage. It's always better to promote within, because then you have people that are on the same page that have been doing things for a long time and have a better grasp of what's going on. I'm a big voter for that. Promote within.
Yeah,
I think it's
me
better.
too.
Better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, consider how this decision will affect the following: company culture, leadership team, and investor relationships.
I think the first two would benefit from hiring within. He already knows the company culture. He basically started the company culture because they hired the guy from the beginning. The leadership, people obviously respect him because he's already a leader in the engineering team, and that's why Doug wants to bring him as the vice president of engineering. It's because he's already proven himself. But the investors investors don't know as much about the product, and they probably see like, oh, this successful outside person might be the best option.
Yeah, I think all three of them go hand in hand with growing within, because realistically, your culture won't really change because you've already established that culture, so it'll be strong. Leadership team will be fine because you're promoting people within that you have confidence in, that you have trust in. So you're going to have a good leadership team because you got people that you already know that are good workers, that are got high work ethic, that will really help that. And investors will feel more comfortable. I think they'll have a stronger relationship because they'll know that Doug's doing everything he can to promote within, to try to to establish a really good leadership team and a good top tier of the company. And I think the relationships will even be stronger with their with their investors.
Mm-hmm.
I think so too. A lot of times when you bring somebody in from outside, they've got different ideas and different ways of how they do things, and it clashes with what they're already doing in the company.
Mm-hmm. So the last thing is, it says it wants us to read the C case. What does do the right things for the company mean? Should Tom fire Doug? Does Yieldex need Cosman anymore? What value does Doug bring to the company now that they have his algorithm or something like that? I'm not sure what that means. How would Doug have avoided getting into the situation? Do you want to change your minds about the buyout now? CK says, pretty much as a PowerPoint, it says, 6 months later, email from John Barr, VP engineer, to Tom Shields, CEO. Doug continues to be disruptive. His salary is 170K. He holds the title CTO, which I should have. His team wasn't functional and has been replaced. At the board meeting today, do the right things for the company.
So this outside guy, this is why we hire within.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, but you came into a company and this is the founder of the company that you're complaining about his salary and complaining about his title. I mean, yeah, no, to me, it just further solidifies that they should not hire outside of the company.
Hmm.
And if that was the absolute route they were going to take, if they're going to hire this dude, John Barr, as the VP of engineering, regardless of what Doug says, then it would have been more beneficial to do the buyout because then his position and employment within the company would not be threatened.
Yeah, you can already tell with an outsider based off of this. It gets ugly. You get people that come in into a company and they think they're a know-it-all. They think they know what they're doing and think that they can make the company better. But all of a sudden now they're making it an issue and a bigger problem. I think that's where you get the biggest headaches in companies is you get these people that come in from other companies that think they know it all, and then all of a sudden it causes issues. It
That's what I
causes
was
a
going to say too.
problem.
These people that come in with big titles and big egos along with it,
Hmm.
and think that everybody should change to how they do things instead of them working with what was already going on and fix some things if it needed to be, but feel it out first and see what's working and what's not.
Yeah. So to kind of summarize, I think we've agreed that the best thing to do here is to turn down the offer and to promote within someone that can help out, establish the company culture, leadership team, and invest and develop those investor relationships. And I think it'll be better for Doug in the long run because he'll be able to get a better return on his investment or on
Right.
his company in the longer term.
Mhm.
So I think that's what we've agreed on, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, stopping the recording.